Okay, we are connected. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out. Right here. Great. Come on.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I had a. Should have this open quick. Check our. So yes, Jeff is on vacation, I think, out of town. And Tiffany was tentative, so we'll just move forward and go from there. I had this on the screen because this was sent to me today. The Corn Palace, it was on the MSN Travel link today as a pop-up. And it's just a World on the Corn Palace, one of the best roadside attractions in South Dakota. And just randomly popped up with some, again, it's an older picture, but there's some information about it, and I mean, you've seen this information before, but it's always kind of fun to see when that shows up. Someone sent me a link to the movie with Tom Hanks. Is it Otto?
A Man Called Otto,
A Man
yeah.
Called- Okay.
Yeah, with the
He's
trailer,
got a-
the U-Haul thing?
Yes, on the U-Haul,
Yeah, that was awesome.
the Corn Palace.
For a long
Did you
time.
send that to me?
Oh, I did.
Someone sent it to me, and I don't remember who it was, and I go, well, you know, and then of course you see it on T-shirts sometimes in movies or TV shows, so that's always kind of fun. So, all right, Mr. Morgan, would you like to call us to order?
Sure, we'll call the meeting to order. Late on Doug Greenway's time of 4:06. I gotta take attendance.
Yeah, Stephanie and Mayor are in a meeting, so they're not here. Tiffany and Jeff Smith are out. Otherwise, we've got everybody here.
So Craig takes care of that.
Craig's taking care of that.
Okay, good, we're fantastic. Approval of the agenda set in front of you. You got a first, you got a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approval of the agenda. We'll go with the director's report with Doug.
If you, and I apologize, this is, let's jump down to the minutes. That's not supposed to be down there. It should be right after the attendance and for agenda. But we have this new software that all of us in the city are struggling with a little bit. It's an upgrade so that the city council can have these large packets. Anyway, it's a little bit challenging to get it to take. There's let's just say it's not as easy as it used to be. So these are the minutes. I didn't print them. I sent them out to you in a director's report. Of course, we had met on the 7th of February. Concessions, and we talked about in the executive session about our entertainment. So not a lot of earth-shattering things there, but I wanted to make sure that we did have minutes from last.
And we did get those sent to us, Doug?
They were sent to you.
Okay.
They should be in your calendar. When I sent out the agenda, they're in your same place as the agenda. Now, is that?
Me too, that's what.
Well, yes, they're in the calendar item, but I can resend them as an individual item. But
No need.
No, yeah.
yeah, if you look in your calendar, they will be there. So we just need a motion and approval of those.
So moved.
Okay, a first, and a second. All in favor for last month's, or what, February's meeting?
February's minutes.
Yeah, February's minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Okay, we'll just jump right into our agenda for today. Well, I hate to say that I think Craig and I probably cheered a bit after last Tuesday when our last basketball game was done. We love basketball. It's people come here, they enjoy. I mean, that's what I love about being here. I mean, they come to the Corn Palace and people show up 90 minutes early for a basketball game. And we get a chance to talk to them. They bring their newspaper and they just kind of hang out and they're comfortable here, which is kind of cool. And that ended. We were fortunate to get two Region 5B, which is out of the Corsica-Stickney area, but we hosted 2 games for each of those for play-ins, and we hosted 3 SODAC games. No one else in South Dakota was able to host 2 SODAC games on one night. We did it not just once, but twice. So, Watertown didn't do it, Pentagon didn't do it, Huron didn't do it. So we had 2 nights of SODAC 16 games, and then 1 night with the Colonels, with just 1 game. But those Ethan teams, we had huge crowds. Just an FYI, the girls SODAC 16 with Ethan and Wagner playing in it. Ethan, Corsica, Wagner, and T. Was our biggest ticketed basketball game of the year. It was 1,761 tickets sold. So we had nearly 2,000 people in the building for a basketball game. That's the most by far that we had. The second biggest was the Ethan boys the next week. And they played Gregory, and then we had Marty here playing Washington Springs. And that was 1,520, I think, ticketed for that. So really a good basketball season as far as people coming back. I'm always concerned, as you know, about the TV broadcasting those. People can just choose to turn it on at home, and we had good crowds. We didn't break 1,000 for the Colonels except for the O'Gorman game, and we had just over 1,000 for that game. And Westland about the same. A couple games over 1,000, most were a little bit less than that. So,
It seemed like a good crowd for that playoff game with the Colonels. But I'm wondering,
yes.
what about my free little pass like that I get as a senior citizen? Does that count?
for any ticketed games or when we give a ticket to someone.
Yeah,
exchange
so there's a
pass.
lot of people there that you're not.
Well, those SODACs and regionals are pretty limited.
Oh, yeah, I had to pay for that.
Yeah. Those are pretty limited to special passes.
Yeah, state of Tennessee,
Yep.
Yeah.
So media.
That was
get
a
in.
pretty good crowd though, wasn't it?
Yes, 11, almost 1,100.
Yeah.
That was by far the biggest
That's-
Colonel crowd. Surprised us, quite honestly. We knew we'd been getting about 800 for Colonels all year, and for Colonel boys, and we planned on that, concession-wise and ticket takers, all that kind of thing. And I was like, whoa, we were very surprised with that a little bit. And of course, you only have time to make money before the game and at halftime. And we got kicked around a little bit because you have a halftime, you have 1,100 people almost in the building. It doesn't matter, you're just not going to serve them all in 10 minutes. You just can't.
And I will say, I can't tell you how many complaints I've had the last month about concessions.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
And we don't get those, I'll be very honest with you, but I don't think we're scary, because if I was saying, hey, less than 3 or 4 all year. So,
Yeah, I've just gotten tons from many, many different types of people that were at different events. And a lot of them are telling me that they see the size of the line, so they're skipping it.
Sure.
And that's what's bothersome, is that we're losing sales.
Well, and we're
Some people
certainly
just aren't gonna stay.
aware of that, and I certainly can address that, and that's why we wanted to be here, I'll get your input, but a lot of it has to do with, what we forecast, and for a 10-minute interval, can you open another side for 10 minutes where we can handle almost all the basketball games all year, we had no issue with one side. And our kids work hard, they're very efficient. You're in line about 2 to 3 minutes, which as far as the concession line is quite short when you think about going anywhere else.
I heard it was all the way to the women's bathroom from that side.
No,
That's
no.
something, that's what I was told.
Oh, it is
That's something I wasn't.
if we were open on that side.
Nope, it was
but-
all the way across and around.
Yeah, we haven't had that, but
But, I mean, like the Hanson Classic or the dance recital, those are ones where you're gonna
Right.
have
and we were
steady business.
so dance recital, Hanson, we were open on both sides. We're max staff. That's the only thing we can do is try to make people as efficient as possible ordering. Because we think we're quite fast serving. It's the coming up, seeing what you want, knowing what you want, and making that decision. And that I know is frustrating for our folks because you stand there with a small person, not necessarily small. Sometimes they're adults and they just can't decide. We have a lot of decisions to make. What pop do you want? Do you want a small or a large? What popcorn do you want? Small, medium, large? Do you want pop, butter, or
That's
not?
part of the business. though.
Yeah, it is.
I just-
Yeah, it is. It doesn't matter where you go, you have choices. So Craig and I have talked about this. There's things we can do in our monitors and signage, maybe, because, the intent is not to make people wait to give us money.
Right.
We want to get them, have a good experience, get their food. So we think we've got some good items in the concession center.
Yeah, it's very unusual. I haven't heard a complaint all year, and then like in the last month.
So,
probably
which
heard
is an indication to us that people are coming back a little bit, We were pleased with the numbers, so.
In cases like that, is it possible to open, and I don't know what enough employees available. Sure. And when we had games 5 nights a week, I did not have enough employees. So, to address the losing money aspect, that is something that is disheartening. But year to date, we're up $32,000 in sales compared to last January 1st to March 31st. So, we're making more money.
But it could have been 50.
Could have been. Maybe.
And I will, so we're aware, we don't like lines, it's stressful for our people too. I mean, I'm in there, Craig and I are in the both in there slinging things, it's helping. We kind of get to that 1,000 mark, because we know we can handle that with 2 registers and fully staffed, which is seven people. We get more than that, we need to be on the other side and be opened up. So that's kind of our.
It's like trouble in here.
Run.
And so we watched that pretty closely. Like the recital, we knew it was going to be a big group, the SODAC games. But as an example, just a few of the obstacles we run up against that week of recital. So we were fully staffed on one side, and it was busy but manageable. We felt 1,300 people. So that was a 7-hour event. Then we had games Thursday, Friday, youth tournament all day Saturday. So we went from 8 a.m. till the Colonels played that night, 8 p.m. So a couple things there. We were allowed 20 hours with our kids in a week. Okay, so we lost some that way. We have 3 show choir kids who happened to all be out of town that day. And then last year we lost our 7 seniors that went to college. So they work part-time here and there. But we replaced them with younger kids, 15, 16-year-olds. And if
Do you ever look for some older folks?
we do, yep, we make the applications, but this is typically usually a first job scenario, and then we keep them with us, like those 7
Which is
seniors,
wonderful.
which is wonderful. Anyway, so then we lose our 16 and unders, or under 16 at 7 o'clock. So just, that week, because of the payroll cycle was a Sunday, a long Sunday, and a long Saturday, and then we had two nights of games. So, but we're aware of it, obviously, and we will work hard to make it better, Obviously, a couple of big events coming up, which will address that. In fact, I'll go down my list here. It all kind of plays into, again, having that good experience, whether it be a game day experience, a circus experience, a concert, and concessions are certainly part of that. Yeah, we had 173 basketball games played in Corn Palace Armory. So that's all, that would include the Mitchell boys freshman game, for example. But still, that's more than I've never done in my 4 years here. So I don't know, there used to be districts and regionals and things like that, but I think the schedules have gotten a little bigger, too. Just to kind of give you an idea, Wesleyan had 23 games here. Colonel Boys, 41 games. Colonel Girls, 18 games. They only had 2 teams. Hoop City, 26 games. We'll have 35 next year for Hoop City. And then we're adding a tournament, which will give us 24 more games next year. So we'll have 35 more games next year than we have this year.
Who's in your tournament?
That is the Dakota Oyate Challenge, which will be the last weekend in January, which it's a 3-day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 8 boy teams, 8 girl teams. So we'll talk more about that as it comes up, but that's going to be a large event for Mitchell. Hotels, restaurants, they stay over. There's also a cultural experience, so they have hand games that they play, and they bring young people from their schools for the day, spend the day here, and do things. Aaron is working on that with Prehistoric Indian Village, the colleges, because they have a career fair as part of that, a vendor fair. So
Like a smaller LNI
it's
tournament?
exactly what same board of directors,
Okay.
exactly the same board of directors. Yep, smaller scale. Yep, it's been in here for over 30 years.
Why they decided to move?
It's no hotels.
Oh,
They just want a place to stay that's appropriate for their kids. They have a lot of motels with outside entrances,
yeah.
which is tough, and the eating establishments. They just can't handle the crowd, which they hosted a state tournament over the weekend, but we know that Wall was staying here in Mitchell the whole time.
Really?
You know?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Or the other town was staying in DeSmet, another team, in DeSmet, and driving over there.
Let's have the Corn Palace.
Anyway, that's been good.
That's amazing.
We ended on Tuesday with basketball. We did about a 6-hour switch over, get the bleachers out, the score tables, all those things, brought wrestling in. And we had 600 wrestlers and another 2,000 fans here on Saturday. Again, manageable lines. It was just busy the whole time. Our biggest concession day of the year, one day,
Yep.
certainly. And Craig had some good breakfast items. We until you do it, you just don't know. And that was the first, and we sold out of our hot breakfast sandwiches, but how many? It was
189.
100, yeah, 100 of those. And
Would you ate one?
Cases.
No. Well, I got them in, and we had them for the dance recital, and I sold it like a dozen. So thinking, well, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with these 12 cases of breakfast sandwiches? I should have probably had 10 more cases.
So, yeah, substantial concession sales, and it went well. In fact, it's well organized. We're just on the front side of it. A lot of volunteers. Mitchell always hosts those things well. Stratton was there. They had 15 mats going at the same time. I mean, I don't know if you have never been to something like that. It's really worth just sticking your nose in. I'm not saying you should stay.
Yeah. Did it cost to get in?
It did $5 is all. Yep. But 5 and 3. And so it was, we think it went well, and they'll be back next year. So, and then Craig mentioned the recital, 1,300 here for the recital, and that's a large crowd. Upcoming, and so now we've got a couple more weeks, and then next week we're actually doing a new event. It's a community pancake feed on Tuesday night. So this goes from 4 to 7, the CHS Farmers Alliance is doing a community pancake feed, kind of like a small town would have. You see them all the time. Anyway, free will offering, pancake sausage, juice coffee, and they're raising money for their Feeding South Dakota program that they support. So I'm assuming it's been on radio. We're pushing it out on our social media here over the weekend. But so that's kind of a new event, and then Wingapalooza next Saturday. So we'll have 500 to 600 here. It's a real quick event, 1 to 4. Mitchell Main Street and beyond does that event, and Craig's going to talk a little bit about that later. And then,
You're jumping all over the place.
yeah, I have my list. These are all upcoming events. Yep. And then City Banquet, the Avera Banquet, Spring Banquet, and the circus coming up in April. Of course, we'll meet again for the circus. Any questions about those events, past or upcoming, before I jump into?
I'm approached a couple of times. Are we getting hairball coming in again?
Well, yes. So I'd asked Hairball for some summer dates. And, well, I guess I sent this out. Maybe I didn't. He calls me and said, hey, we've got Saturday the 26th of August open. And I go, that's not, yeah. So I go, that's not the Saturday, that's not the summer I was looking for, And I said, but we want to look you back in November. And he said, absolutely, we'd love to come to the Corn Palace. Okay, well, the date that we have had them historically, and this is not a deal breaker yet, but we have just booked a 3-day gun show, which the mayor's been trying to get back to Mitchell. He was here for a long, long time. The 4-H grounds has been gone for a couple of years. Lots
Quick
of
draw stuff? Or-
No, this is just the gun show, a couple hundred vendors, a few thousand visitors, and they come in, but the vendors stay over. In hotels. So it's a big hotel event and restaurant event for the vendors. So we are going to host that on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's Veterans Day weekend, which that Friday and Saturday had been a hairball weekend. So we got to look at our other options. I mean, these are all good events for the city. In fact, they're probably a better event for the city than the Corn Palace from that standpoint. Some things are, right? There's a lot of hotels and restaurants, but, Corn Palace ticketing things, maybe not such a great deal. Concessions, for example, won't be a big deal for a gun show. But, so we are working on bringing Hairball in, yes. We want to bring them in, and had I known that because we've got this weekend in April 1st and 2nd, that we had an event booked, It was a 2-day youth basketball tournament, they just canceled that last week. Had I known that, we would have probably done it in the spring, which is when it used to be,
Yeah.
before I started. And then had it in the fall, I think, my first year here. So, yes, we were working on hairball, and we hope to bring them here, absolutely. Seating update. So, as you know, we ordered the fabric. Anyway, it's still happening. We really thought we'd have maybe half seats by the end of basketball season, but it's 6 weeks to get the fabric, and that was 1st of February. So we're coming up on where maybe that could be delivered. So they're going to be really nice, and they're a complete match to what we have, but they have to manufacture it. Believe it or not, it's not just on a spool somewhere. So the fact that we can still get it from 1993, or they can still make it, I should say. They're making the fabric that they made back in 1993 to cover the Corn Palace seats. So
So who installs that? Or-
we will do that ourselves. Yep, they'll be made locally, so we'll have Weber Upholstery make them, customized make, and we'll be able to get about 200 out of this first round of the money we have, new ones, and then that'll kind of do a section, then we'll pull 200 off. Of those, if some are just going to be garbage, others will be washed, and we'll be able to spread those out a little bit. We expect we might be able to get 300 to 400 new seats replaced with just replacing these, and then we'll continue that for the next few years. That's the goal. And then this summer we'll also shampoo, like we always do, after the circus and all of that. We just don't have enough time between the graduations, but that's kind of when we start. We do some then, and then throughout the summer. And we shampoo the 1,772 seats that are up there. So that'll be kind of an improvement, and we'll kind of get ready. So one thing that's not on here I wanted to mention, again, I built this and then add some things through the weekend, but we're working on our, of course, festival vendors for the fall. We got out early on that, which is good. We wanted to make sure we had plenty of vendors, and those are coming in way ahead of last year. We're a couple months ahead on that side of things, and then we're working on the farmers market. And I talked with you about this. Just was not successful last year, so we kind of at the end of the season talked with the vendors, talked with folks, and said, we need to have. We cannot get 7 vendors paid for the summer, then we just aren't going to have a market. Because it's not a good look for the city, it's not a good look for the Corn Palace when folks or visitors are here and there's a farmer's market. And they come from states where there's, blocks of vendors, And we actually had entertainment of some kind on the stage, not just music playing, that always happens, but 7 of the 15 sessions we actually got stuff on the stage in the plaza. So it was a little disappointing, certainly. But we've got some folks who are trying to energize it, and we're getting input, and that would start in June. So we're going to try to get our vendors on board early so we can make a decision and whether we'll have it or not. But it's not a huge labor event for us at all. I mean, we're here, the Corn Palace is open. We always have 100 or 200 people in the Corn Palace at that time. We just weren't getting the vendors that would draw the shoppers.
Did the Colony used to come and then quit?
Right. And that was the big one.
Yeah,
The Rosedale Colony.
they were a big draw.
Yep, and we called him last year, and he said, Doug, I just can't come. By the time we take 6 people, we load everything up, we set it up, sell it, and it's always good. We have over 100, 150 people would come, right?
Yeah.
Because of them. And he said, well, we can sell more at the Colony.
Yeah.
And it's a business decision they have to make. So we've got some interest from another colony, and so we're working toward that. We're kind of basically wrapping up all of our basketball stuff and our event here for the winter, and so I've been in touch with the farmers market people, and we'll see. Hopefully we can have it again. It'll be on Wednesdays. Saturday just doesn't work because of bigger markets in Chamberlain and Sioux Falls. They say that, well, no, if it's a Saturday I would come, but the problem is you don't get. It takes both. It takes shoppers and vendors. And they've done the Saturday thing before we got it, and they moved it to Thursday to try to get more vendors and not compete. So the only thing we did is moved it to a Wednesday, so we didn't have to cancel any of them because of some Thursday events like the pre-Sturgis party, things like that. So, anyway, those are some things that I've been working on as we've been wrapping up our basketball events. Any questions about my stuff? Craig?
Want to talk to Craig?
Talked a little bit about sales, talked about long lines, you know, it's something that we are aware of, that we're trying to alleviate some problems, and I think things got better as the year went on, but the crowds also got larger, so that compiled the problem as well. Live and learn, so got things that we can improve on and hopefully make it better for next year. Sales on Saturday, I had a goal of $10,000 in sales, which on a normal basketball night, doubleheader for D-Dub, we do about 3. Our sales on Saturday were 12.5, so it totally blew that out of the water. There was long lines the whole day, but they kept moving, so that's all I can hope for. Circus coming up, I was looking at numbers for that. Hopefully we have as good a crowds as we did last year, but we'll be more prepared for that as well in the concessions. Other than that, I really don't have anything. Popcorn balls, I usually throw out a number. Last year at this time, through the end of March, we had over 7,000 popcorn balls we sold. This year we're at almost 9,000, so we still have half the month left. I have an order right now for 250, 300, and 75 the kids are working on right now. So hopefully that continues to grow. Have a new flavor over there if anybody wants to go try one. Snickers. So go check that out. Otherwise, any questions for me? Other comments or complaints that I need to hear about so I can try to rectify them?
And we don't mind, we would love to hear that, just, oh, you're honest.
We don't want to, but we need to.
Yeah, well, yeah, just say,
It's just
suggestions.
unusual.
Yeah, we put some extra menus out further, so people can kind of maybe make their decision up a little quicker, because we really feel we can just be so much faster, but that's just the way concessions works. People want to see.
I wonder if you did set up something like you do for D-Dub, where you just sell the popcorn
Right.
balls and some water
Yeah.
up in
A
the.
grab and go type thing with.
Yeah, I wonder if you had a little section, because a lot of people do just want a popcorn ball and maybe a water, as an idea. I don't know if that would
Well,
be worse or better, but.
we actually, we thought about doing this when I started here, is for the stage people, putting up water and soda on the north end of the stage, so right out of that back room. People just come in, and anybody that's on the stage, or even the students, know that there's drinks there, water, soda, and popcorn. We just line up different-sized popcorn bags, or we can do candy back there too, kind of like an old school, small school concession stand, if you will. But you could take some pressure off that, and probably increase sales because it's right there. People just run down during a timeout instead of you wait till quarter break, to come get something or halftime. So it's and we actually haven't had necessarily a hard time getting people. We it's a fine line. Greg spends a lot of time on this, but having too many, and then they aren't getting the hours, and they leave you because we want to continue for the summer too, obviously, or having enough to cover the event. So I think where we go is maybe some older folks, when I say non-students, who are just working folks that say, I'm going to work, my wife come in and work, well, again, that's a bad example because I can't pay her, but folks that, hey, I'm going to work cornballs tonight, we've got 5 games this week.
I mean, I could do it. I could do it.
And just, popcorn,
It's easy.
filling
Easy math.
popcorn pop, and the kids run the registers, and you're just waiting on customers, and it's a 3-hour deal because you've got basically your crowd is between games and halftime. Let's say double that, West Main night. Your crowd, we have no issue with the women's game leading up, halftime and women, no issue. It's between a game and a halftime of between games, honestly, for Wesleyan. It's weird.
Yeah, and Wesleyan has the
Yeah.
thing, so I don't know if we have that much.
But there are some things we can try to do. So yeah, that's what we'll work on, to try to get better.
I was in Arizona, and I don't know how popcorn balls came up, but I was talking to somebody from Rapid City, and they're like, the corn balls, that's the best popcorn balls ever. So you're known far and wide.
So, now, next question, are you doing wings for Wingapalooza?
We've got a scrap.
That's what I was gonna,
I wanted to do Wingapalooza after last year having the event. And then I didn't, with all the basketball games, I didn't plan ahead far enough. And I leave tomorrow for Arizona for a week. So I would be gone over the time where I should be getting ready for it. And so so I need to come up with a good team name. Can take some volunteers if you would like to help out. This would be for next year's Wingapalooza. I have a couple recipes that we will have to explore, and if you can come up with anything a little off the wall, aka corny, we would be willing to try that out.
maybe with maybe something with corn,
So-
something in a corn encrusted, I don't know. But, we want to support Mitchell Main Street. It's a fun event, and we're a Main Street business, and we want to participate. So it's just kind of, well, and part of it was like, we're going to get a fryer. So we did call around and see if we could get actually, so we could get a fryer. But, if you wanted to do it that route, but we missed the boat on one of our, they had just shut down their fryers. So it was offered to us about having a food truck parked outside and do it, easement that way. But I don't know, we didn't know what the rules were, but next year.
Their own.
Rules, there are no rules.
Well, good luck. Good luck. We will be here. I missed it last year. I was on vacation, so it's always kind of, I know it's a fun event for the community. So yeah, we'll have music playing and all that kind of stuff going on. So, all right.
We already approval of the minutes, no citizens input, right?
No,
No executive session?
no. And I would just and I can send this out via email, but I'll be very honest with you, we don't have the update I emailed you is the update on our entertainment. We've made that offer to for El King, which we can, that's
You
not
still broadcast.
I am, but we're not in executive session, that's fine. We've made an offer, and the response from Romeo is that they're historically slow, but we've also asked them to look at our second act now too, now that we know that if we're gonna go that route with her. But it's just, sometimes it's a little frustrating for us, since we would like to have that done, I've secured light and sound without Sound Productions, so that's in place.
Did you just do that for 2 nights then?
2 nights.
Friday and Saturday?
That's the direction we've gone, yeah.
Yep, okay.
But I'll be honest with you, if they were to come back and say, we can only do a Thursday night because we're somewhere else on Friday, Saturday, then we have that decision to make. So, yes, that was, what we sent to them was Friday or Saturday.
Do we have a backup if
She was at that.
She,
Right.
well, and I keep, I'm in touch with Mark, literally, on a weekly basis, just kind of trying to get some more information, so he knows we're always anxious to get these done, and I just haven't gotten a lot back from him. So he kind of knows our market a little bit, but I will stay on him and the best I can, and email out what I hear, and I keep pushing him so we can make a contract decision in April and then do an announcement. So.
We need another meeting with council.
Yeah. I know Mayor Everson wants to have us announce next year's, during this year, but I don't think that'll ever happen.
It's just, our market is just too small. You see the big tours are announced, yes, that happens, but that January timeframe is where they kind of plan, and that's why you see all of these tour announcements in February and March, because that's when they're putting them out. And then, we had one in North Dakota to us, got a better offer, scrapped that, and
That really wasn't surprising though.
so.
Yeah, it should have been
Bummer.
bigger.
Yeah, and she's just getting
Big
a ton of
name.
traction, yeah.
She's kind of blown out, so.
Yep, so I will just keep you updated the best I can and keep on them to try to get those spots filled. But I feel good about our vendors, and then of course we get inquiries all the time about the entertainment for the free stage and things like that. So we don't have any issue filling that, it's just which kind of what direction you want to go. Some that played last year want to play again. We get I try to bring in some new folks, which we had last year too, which I thought was good. The group from here was really good on Sunday, but so I'll start pulling that stuff together too. feel good about where we're at with vendors for sure. So, otherwise, I don't have any other update on, we should say that circus tickets do go on sale 29th though, maybe you said that, if I missed it.
I did not know.
March 29th, circus tickets will go on sale. We're gonna try to bring in a Shriner, a clown or somebody, and of course we can get some coffee and treats so people can show up at 8 o'clock to get in the door and to get tickets. It's not a huge crowd, but we had maybe 40 last year, sold a couple hundred tickets, in the first 30 minutes, and then after, at 1 o'clock, then on the 29th, they go available online too. But they'll be at the box office only 9 a.m. on the 29th, and then we're gonna try to encourage people to get those early. Again, I think we talked about this, we had the lines outside, which, again, you aren't thinking anything about that. The Corn Dolls is closed, it has to be prepped and ready for the next show. But we went outside then that second, third day, and that helped a ton. We sold tickets on the street, up and down, so people just walked in, and that really helped. So we'll certainly do that again. And
General admission tickets.
Yeah.
Reserve that.
But reserve, yes, and if you remember, we had kind of a shoot for people to come in, and we just have to make sure, but we'll, we're gonna put some circus music out on the loudspeaker and some announcements, things like that. We're just getting, it's interesting this time of the year, we hand out the water bottles, and at the wrestling the other day, I can't even count how many, 1,000 water bottles come in, the fancy ones, the thermoses, the Yetis. It's like, you would never ever do that at any other arena. No bags, no cups, no liquids, and we have signage up, but it's just here, it's a tough thing to get over, to tell people not to bring drinks and food in, because that's what we do here. Now, if they can't get food, they're starving, because they can't get in the line. Well, I'd stick a cookie in my pocket too, but I don't think it's that bad, but anyway, we consistently try to keep people to stop bringing things in, And,
I noticed like the opposing teams when they're done with, like the women play first. And I'd see them come in with huge sacks of food. And I thought, is that
And-
from here?
Our philosophy on that, Craig and I talk about this, the athletes, that's how we make our money. They're out here performing, that's why people are coming to the Corn Dolls. So we want to work with them. So, Hanson has a sponsor for subs for every kid, for pizza.
Yeah.
Wesleyan, those teams, those out-of-town teams, they have food delivered. But we want it delivered to the back door or side door, not coming through the front. It's a tough,
Well, then they walk out with a big bunch and hand it up.
it's tough for me to see this big old pile of stuff come in the front door and everyone's going, oh, that must be okay. So we try to, get them to bring it in the back so it's not in front of everybody else. But we do certainly allow that. And that's pretty common, for those teams. I mean, for them to buy concession food, and they have a sponsor maybe or whatever, but.
They're in an arena every weekend and probably a couple times a week. They probably get a little sick of it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of those arenas have rented spaces to,
Congregate.
Yep, green rooms throughout.
yeah,
Yeah, well, you cater it right in there.
Sure.
Yeah. And we do accommodate them, and we think we do a nice job of that, we set up tables for them, a place to put their things, that's all in the back. We just don't have a space up here. We use this room a lot, actually, to accommodate the dance teams that you see. They use this space. We just don't have a lot of that, the north end of the stage and this space and 4 locker rooms. And as you know, we're rotating them through pretty quickly, getting them clean for the next group, and we think we're a pretty well-oiled machine, but you're still limited on space. So always room for improvement. We've done things differently every year that I've been here, and hopefully we're trying to keep getting a little bit better. So that's the goal, continuous improvement. So nothing else? Any questions? We are scheduled for April. Or I should have it on the agenda. April 4th. I will be certainly. We'll have some entertainment updates and kind of force their hand to say we got to have something to approve and run by the board at that meeting. So.
It will be out of town
Okay.
for work.
And I do, I try not to move those meetings, but there's just no way we could have held last week. We had the SODAC, we were selling tickets, literally people came in at 4 o'clock. you know, for a 6 o'clock game. So, we just had to move that, so. It's kind of fun, those out of town, they show up and they want to get their ticket, and then they go out to eat, and then they come back, and, you know, it's pretty amazing how many people come. I'm sure the restaurants, hopefully you guys were busy.
Yeah, after that restaurant, man, I tell you, I was like, who told people about this place? Like they had to call, I had to like get up out my sleep to come over, because when those restaurants hit, they were in there, we had 2 little ladies in the daytime, and they were well overwhelmed, and then the National Guard came in, so it was a party of 35 for wrestling, then the National Guard, then the regular. I walked in like, why?
Well, and if you haven't noticed, hopefully you are, but we have Amy who is doing a great job with her social media. She's making these posts for every event, customized, and it's getting pushed out by a lot of folks. So, you know, John, in your situation, Gio, you should know about those, because then you know about the event, then you could push it out to your stuff too, if you want. I know Main Street Mercantile does that, Scoreboard does that, so that's why we do that. We want it to be good for everybody, bringing people together, so. All right, well, you get spring break, enjoy. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Craig and I are going to get a little vacation in for a couple days this week, and we'll be fresh and energized for Wingapalooza next week. So, all right, we'll see you in April. Do you want to call them adjournment?
Can I take a motion on it? All right, take a motion to adjourn. We got a 1, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.